I have been dating my boyfriend, who is 32 years old, for a little over 2 years. When we first started dating, he was so sweet and charming. He always took me to nice restaurants and said the nicest things to me, and we moved in together after a year. He does sweet things all the time, like sometimes packing my lunches for work or driving me to work. I'm a nurse at a hospital in the next town over. He writes sweet little notes and puts them in my coat pocket, and he even takes me shopping for nice clothes. There have been lots of times when he has said things that have hurt me a little bit, but we've always been really good at communicating and moving through it. At least, I felt that way until one day last month. He had some friends in town visiting, and we had them over, went out to dinner with them, and went to a party with some of their mutual friends that I didn't know. I have always liked parties and meeting his friends, so I was excited. I bought a new dress for the night that I really liked, and I was feeling really good about myself when the night started. However, as it went on, I started feeling worse and worse. My boyfriend ignored me the whole night. He didn't talk to me or look at me while we were out with everyone, and he walked away to talk to other people at the party really quickly when we got there. When I went over to where he was, he still wouldn't really look at me and walked away from me as soon as someone started talking to me, and I was distracted. A couple of times I put my hand on his shoulder or his arm, and he did not acknowledge me once. By the end of the night, I was mortified and embarrassed. I tried to talk and be friendly with his friends and the other people that were there, but it was hurting my feelings quite a bit. We ended up going home after all of his closer friends left, and he finally talked to me, but just to ask if I could call us an Uber. I did. We went home, and he fell asleep so quickly while I sat in the living room trying to convince myself that it was all in my head. The next day was worse, though. I brought up that I felt like he had been ignoring me the whole night, and he agreed with me, admitting that he ignored me because he had been embarrassed by me when I told his friends where I went to college, which is a small liberal arts college in Nebraska, and that I was a nurse. He actually said, just a nurse. It hadn't even been something that I would consider being embarrassed about, but he thought it was embarrassing because almost all of the other people at the party had gone to either Harvard, Stanford, or Brown, and were in business or tech. I think I was the only person out of the 30 to 40 people there who hadn't gone to one of those three schools. And my boyfriend also went to Harvard. I told him that really hurt my feelings, not only because I had felt ignored and that I was right, but because I thought it was ridiculous to be embarrassed about my job. I'm really proud of my job, and I love it because I feel like I'm making a difference. He then told me that he feels my job is a dead-end job and that jobs where you can't really progress are kind of a waste. He then, for some reason, continued talking. He said that I could go back to school and be like the girls who were at the party. He said they had really impressive jobs and that I could too if I switched careers. I think this is absolutely ridiculous, and when I told my friends about it, they agreed. I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse, and I spent years going to school for it. I was proud of myself when I graduated, and after I started working at the hospital I work at now, I found it really fulfilling, even if it is stressful sometimes. I told him I was really happy with my job, and he said he didn't believe me because I complain about it all the time. He referenced when someone threw up on me once, and I told him about it when I got home. At the time, I didn't even really feel like I was complaining, but when I think back, I probably was. So I admitted he had a point about the complaining, but that I still love my job. I then said I didn't feel like the other people there would look down on nursing as a bad job, and that some even said it was a great job that must really make a difference in people's lives. He said they were just being nice, and probably didn't really think that, which kind of further hurt my feelings, because he knows the people there way better than I do. So he's probably right when he says that. He continued and told me that he had hooked up with a couple of the girls who were there before we started dating, and that was why he had been ignoring me when he talked to them. This also hurt my feelings. One of them went to Harvard, and the other went to Brown. They are both in business, and they were also both really nice to me, and talked to me more than my boyfriend did. Actually, at some point in the night, when my boyfriend was ignoring me and talking to someone else with his back turned, I went looking for one of those girls and was able to join the conversation she was having. One of them even complimented my dress that night, but my boyfriend said she was probably just trying to be nice, implying that she didn't mean it. After a couple of days, he sort of came to his senses, realized that I was actually not okay with what he said, and wrote me some really long apology texts. However, when we talk about it, it still is clear that he feels embarrassed by my job, and that he is still very attracted to those two girls he hooked up with before. He used the words, very attracted to. He has never really talked about me that way. He doesn't tell me I'm beautiful, pretty, or that he likes my outfit, etc. Sometimes he will criticize my outfits, or the way I look, or how my hair is done, which didn't bother me too much before, but after this conversation, it really does. The same friends who threw that party invited us over to a Halloween party next weekend, and I'm not feeling great about it now. My boyfriend says that he won't treat me the same way as he did last time, and that the only reason he did was because he was drunk and made a mistake. However, I find that difficult to accept since he acted that way the whole night, which was many hours long, and then gave reason after reason for why he felt the way he acted made sense to him. I'm wondering what I should do, because I do love him. We talk about getting married all the time, we both want kids, and we already live together. I'm really close to his family too. I just went and got coffee with his mom the other week. Another part of me is worried because this whole situation is kind of changing the way I see all of the past things he said that have hurt me and that I have forgiven him for. They were always about my job, the way I looked, dressed, or talked, or about what college I went to. Every time he says something wrong, he apologizes but then explains why he said it. And looking back, it almost feels like he's minimizing the issue and refusing to take accountability. I'm also usually not insecure. I'm really proud of the college and nursing school I went to. I met some of my best friends there, and I feel like I dress well and am attractive. But now I'm feeling bad about all of it, and I think it's because I'm actually realizing what my boyfriend thinks of me, which kind of unalives me to think he thinks so little of me. I told him this, and he says that's not true, and he thinks so highly of me, but I'm just not sure how to move past this feeling. He is my best friend, and I can't understand how he can say all of this and not see how it's hurting me. He keeps saying he doesn't understand why I'm reacting like this, while I honestly think I'm being very calm about it all. I don't know if I am blowing this out of proportion. I'm honestly feeling pretty bad about myself. And I am still embarrassed by how he treated me in front of his friends and exes. I think what I really want is a way to make him see that what he is saying and doing is hurting me, and that how impressive I am to his friends shouldn't be a factor in how he treats me. When we aren't in front of people, he is usually pretty amazing and kind, with the occasional slip-up that we have always worked through. But this belittling behavior is becoming more frequent, and I don't know how to make him stop or how to deal with how it makes me feel when he does it. I would usually talk to my best friends about this, but they are telling me to leave him and move out. I see some of their points, but I really do love him and want to make it work. I'm also not sure about attending the Halloween party next weekend. I'm seriously considering backing out and having him go alone. Has anyone dealt with a similar situation before? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your friends are right. Leave him. He's projecting his insecurities onto you, and you're accepting them. Value yourself. And in time, when you're a bit older and with someone who makes you feel whole and nothing less, you'll look back on how this man treated you a lot differently than you do right now. P.S. Nurses are awesome. Comment 2. I got about halfway through that saga before I stopped reading in disgust. Yes, I have some advice. Straighten your spine and kick this man to the curb. You should have dumped him as soon as he said he was embarrassed by you. You can stay with him, or you can keep your self-respect. I don't see how you can do both. Now for the update. 2 days after the Halloween party, I got a text from my boyfriend saying he was going out for drinks with his friends. It was a Tuesday night, and honestly, I was just glad he was going out. He mentioned a bar near where we had our first date, which felt nostalgic but also weird. Like, why mention that specific place? I decided to drop by the bar to surprise him after work. I still had hope for us, and I thought maybe a cute surprise would help him be more present in our relationship. That was a mistake. When I got to the bar, I saw him laughing and sitting close to this girl from his friend group, like he was literally sitting on the same side of the booth as her. I noticed he had his hand resting on the back of her chair, and my stomach just dropped. I approached the table, trying to act casual. "Hey, what's up?" But inside, I was ready to throw up all over their table. As I got closer, I heard him ask the girl about her recent trip to Europe, and he sounded genuinely interested. The girl leaned in closer, and I just felt super uncomfortable. When he noticed me, his expression changed. He looked completely caught off guard. He introduced her as a friend from college, but I felt like I was the only one who didn't get the memo about this new friendship. We all sat together, but then the conversation shifted to this girl's recent dating experiences. The boyfriend kept glancing at her, laughing at her stories, and I just felt invisible. Like, I'm right here. It's not like I'm an air freshener or something. After a while, I excused myself to the restroom because I needed a moment to process what was happening. While washing my hands, I overheard two women gossiping about a couple at the bar. They mentioned how my boyfriend had been flirting heavily with the girl, calling it harmless fun. Harmless fun? Are you kidding me? I went back to the table, feeling even more frustrated and hurt. I confronted him about his behavior, asking why he felt the need to flirt in front of me. He just brushed it off, claiming I was overreacting and that it was just friendly conversation. He even snapped back, saying I was too sensitive and needed to lighten up. That's when the argument escalated. We were making a public scene at the bar, and other people started to look at us. This only made me feel more embarrassed. I decided to leave abruptly, telling him I couldn't handle this anymore. As I walked out, he called after me but didn't follow, leaving me alone in the parking lot. Later that night, he sent me a text saying he was sorry and would make it up to me. I just ignored it. The next day, my best friend invited me to lunch at a nearby diner to talk. She told me she had seen him with the same girl at another event weeks before. I just sat there, feeling like I was in a bad episode of a reality show. The following weekend, I attended a family wedding by myself, which was a whole other mess. My family was super nosy, and I faced a ton of questions about my relationship status. During the reception, my cousin jokingly asked if I was going to marry my boyfriend, and it stung. I got another message from him, asking to talk, but I ignored it again. The conflict between us continued to fester, leading to an uncomfortable family dinner that Sunday. My parents noticed I was off, and my dad asked if everything was okay. I brushed it off, not wanting to raise any concerns. Like, no one needs to know that my relationship is a total mess. By the end of the week, I finally decided to break things off with him. I texted him saying we needed to talk in person about our relationship. We met at a local coffee shop, and he seemed shocked by my request. The conversation quickly turned tense, with him denying any wrongdoing and blaming me for misunderstanding. I told him it was over. He left angrily, saying I would regret this. So yeah, here I am, regretting nothing. Edit. I found out later that my ex had been seeing the other girl for months. Friends knew and were trying to protect me. My ex has been trying to reach out for reconciliation. Am I the idiot for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after he betrayed me with my ex-girlfriend? Around this time last year, my girlfriend of 2 years and I decided to take a break. In retrospect, it was an immature idea, and we never set hard boundaries. I think she saw it more as us breaking things off, but I had always hoped that we would get back together after a while, though I didn't say it out loud. We went about 2 months without talking, and in late December, my brother Ben told me that he had slept with my now ex-girlfriend Claire at our family cabin. I was at first just shocked, but then hurt and kind of disgusted. I was less upset at the fact that Claire had moved on, which I was still annoyed about, but more upset that she slept with my brother. I confronted her over text, and she acted like it was no big deal. She brushed it off and called me a jerk, saying that it was none of my business and that we were on a break. I talked to Ben about it, and he apologized and said it was a mistake that he wouldn't make again. I eventually forgave him because I wanted to move on, and he said he cut off Claire and made it clear he wouldn't be pursuing a relationship with her. Flash forward to June of this year, and I found out through a mutual friend that Claire and Ben had not been out of contact, but actually went steady for a bit after New Year's. I feel like I was right to be angry, and I confronted Ben about it. He said that he didn't know how to tell me, but that he loved Claire and I was going to have to accept that she had moved on from me. I barely talked to Ben after that, which was hard because we had always been close growing up. Now, just last week, invites were sent out to Ben and Claire's wedding, which I am invited to. I was shocked, and it opened up a wound that definitely hadn't healed. But most of my family and mutual friends said it was obvious they loved each other, and that I needed to show up to support my brother on his big day, and that I could get over my ex being his wife. I feel like I'm going crazy. Most of my friends agree with me, and my uncle has been vocal about siding with me. The girl I'm seeing right now also thinks that everyone is acting insane and that this is not normal. I don't think it's normal. But it's happening this spring, and I have to decide what to do. I'm torn. I still love my brother, but I don't know how I can stomach going to his wedding after he lied to me for months and is getting married to my girlfriend who I broke up with just last year. I'm still processing everything, and I have no idea how to even start the conversation with my family. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, no idiots here, I wouldn't go. That's wild. It all could have been cleared up with honest conversations, but it was all kept a secret. Also, why a marriage so fast? At least give some time for the waters to settle and for people to properly move on before making that big of a step with your older brother's ex-girlfriend. Weird. Even weirder, the rest of the family is going along with invalidating your feelings. Comment 2. Well, that marriage is doomed to blow up in flames within months. Your brother is rushing it to one-up you and prove he's the better man, and she's rebounding for the same reasons. The next couple, no probably one, holiday is going to be awkward. Everyone better go cheap on the wedding gifts because they are wasting their money. Now for the update. I got a call from my mom a few months after my last update, asking me to join a family dinner at her place for Easter. I knew I was going to have to face Claire and Ben, so I wasn't looking forward to it, but I didn't want to upset my mom. So, I reluctantly agreed. When I got to my parents' house, it was the usual family vibe. My mom was in the kitchen, my dad was watching sports, and my sister Kate was there too. We exchanged pleasantries and shared some stories about what we'd all been up to. My mom brought out her famous roast, and we all sat down at the dining table. It was real nice, but I could just tell it was going to get awkward. The first sign was when Kate asked Ben how wedding planning was going. I thought I was going to choke on my roast. Ben mentioned they were finalizing details for the venue, and I could see Claire beaming beside him, like she was super proud. I felt the awkwardness hit me hard when Kate innocently asked about my role in the wedding. I just shrugged it off and said I hadn't decided if I'd attend yet. The dinner went on, but I could feel Claire's eyes on me, like she was waiting for me to jump up and cheer for their love story. My dad suggested we play a board game after dinner, and I thought, why not? At least it'll distract me from all this wedding talk. So we started playing, and I was trying to focus on the game, but then Ben made a joke about how I should be the best man since he had been my best friend for years. I didn't even respond. I just stared at the board like it was the most interesting thing ever. Claire shot me a look that said she expected me to support them, and I just wasn't in the mood to play along. My mom noticed the awkward vibe and tried to change the subject to the family vacation planned for the summer. During that conversation, Claire casually mentioned how excited she was to go on a honeymoon in Hawaii. I was sitting there just trying to breathe and not lose it. After dinner, I stepped outside to get some air, needing a moment away from the festivities. Ben followed me outside, acting all casual, but I could tell he was fishing for something. He asked if I was okay, and if I was going to support him on his big day. I told him I needed some time to think about it, and he just nodded, but I could see the hope in his eyes. Later that week, I got a text from my dad saying he had news about Claire. I called him, and he mentioned that Claire was having a bridal shower at a local venue. He casually mentioned that Claire had invited my ex-girlfriend Sarah, who I hadn't seen in a while. Just hearing that made me super mad. I decided right then and there that I was going to show up at the bridal shower uninvited. That night, I arrived early, blending in with the guests as they set up decorations. I watched as Claire opened gifts, including a beautiful set of cookware from her friends. When she opened a gift from Sarah, I felt a knot in my stomach. I couldn't hold back any longer and stepped forward to confront Claire in front of everyone. I demanded to know how she could act like this was all normal when she hurt me and betrayed my trust. The room fell silent as Claire turned pale and Ben rushed to her side. I told them both I wouldn't be a part of their fake show anymore. Claire tried to defend herself, saying it was all in the past, but I wasn't having it. I revealed I had spoken to Sarah earlier that day, who mentioned how Claire had been reaching out to her behind my back. The guests looked shocked, and Claire's face turned bright red. I walked out, leaving them to deal with the fallout of my revelation. The next day, I got a call from my mom, who was furious about what happened. I told her I wouldn't apologize and that it was time for everyone to face the truth. As I hung up, I decided to cut ties with both Ben and Claire for good. I sent a group text to my family, letting them know I wouldn't be attending the wedding. The next week, I found out Ben and Claire had a huge blowout after my confrontation. I didn't care to know the details. I was done with their drama for good. Edit: my mom called to apologize for how Claire had hurt me in the past. She acknowledged that Claire had been reaching out to Sarah for a while, which Sarah had confirmed. My mom was upset about the bridal shower incident, but asked me to reconsider attending the wedding. I declined again, standing firm on my decision. Am I the idiot for begging my cheating girlfriend to stay after she shattered our 8-year relationship? I'm 31, she's 29. We've been together for 8 years, living together for most of it. I saw a conversation on her phone last night with a guy she's been flirting with for weeks. When I read her kissing emoji messages and she said, "How's the man who stole my heart doing?" it absolutely shattered me. She goes to her brother's house every weekend for years to play board games and watch movies with a group of people. After reading enough messages, I realized that this guy is the one who frequently drives her home afterward. She said she's been intimate with him for about a month and a half. She said she hasn't slept with him, but she's been kissing him and other things. I'm completely shattered. We talked for 5 hours. She took a 4-hour nap because I woke her up to talk, and then we talked and hugged for 2 hours before she went back to bed for the night. For the whole 7 hours or so of talking, she's holding my hand and hugging and cuddling me while we talk and cry together. She tells me she loves me but doesn't know if she can stay with me. I'm basically throwing my heart at her feet, telling her more about my feelings for her than I ever have. I've made myself incredibly vulnerable and open, but it's now or never to convey the love that I don't say to her often enough. I'm basically begging her to stay and work things out with me. We have a whole life built together that is worth working on and continuing. Her smile, her voice, she's everything to me. Picturing her enjoying another person's embrace and lips while she's holding me and we talk about it is destroying me, but I still find myself holding on to every second of her hugs while we talk. I never know at what moment she'll tell me if she'll stay with me or not. The suspense is insane, and I want every last second of what love is left. I know I won't be able to hug her that lovingly if she breaks up with me, so I'm taking in as much as I can. Being alone with my thoughts, wide awake now while she's asleep for the night, is turning my brain in circles. I don't know what to do. I was literally looking up engagement rings a week ago, so this came out of nowhere for me. I'm not perfect, but I was under the impression that we had a stronger connection than this after so long. There are so many paths to deal with this, and I just want things to work out. I obviously can't make her stay, and I don't want her to stay out of pity either, but this is not something I want to walk away from. And my heart is exploding with a mix of emotions, trying to get her to stay, while also feeling so incredibly hurt and betrayed by the same person I'm actively hugging and fighting to keep. Every second that I lay here too scared to lose her feels like days. Her nap in between talks felt like a lifetime. I keep jumping up and pacing. None of this is healthy, and I know an outside perspective would probably say to end it and move on for my health. But the way I want to move on is together with her. When someone is with you this long and becomes your whole life, you'd do anything to keep them. Leaving her isn't an option I've considered today even once. Please, I need advice on what I can do to show her that our love is worth continuing. Or how I should be handling this in general. Now for an update. Yes, we have broken up. Yes, I'm embarrassed to say I pleaded with her to try again with me while she cried and said she can't, but it's over now. We have both broken each other's trust in different ways in the past, and she says she can't keep trying. She said she's disgusted with herself and doesn't know who she is anymore, but that it's too late to try and have a romantic relationship again. She doesn't even want to see that guy anymore either after all this. She loves me, but it's not right to stay together, she says. I am in an impossible situation. I lost my job last year after a bad back injury. My doctor can't find out what's wrong, but it's causing me to not be able to do sitting or standing jobs. It's not getting better, but I can't get disability status, and I can't afford treatments for whatever is wrong anyway. I make no money now, and I'm taking care of our 2-year-old dog, which makes it even harder. Renting is as expensive as a mortgage these days, and I don't know where to go. I have no family or friends to fall back on either. I have nowhere to go and not enough money to do so. Just as much as I was scared to lose her, I'm even more scared for my future. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. She literally just told you that she no longer feels for you the same way. She has developed feelings for this other person, and that person is who she is making an effort with. She has chosen to stop investing in you and your relationship. Why would you strain yourself to be with someone that no longer wants to be with you? If her answer was yes, I choose you. Let me fix this. Let me repair what I broke. Friend, do yourself a favor. Let him have her. He can deal with the cheating and lies when she does it to him. Go heal. Go repair. Be a better you and live your life. Comment 2. I'm so sorry that this is happening to you. What a nightmare. Do I understand correctly that you are asking us how you can convince her to stay with you and dump the other guy? Do you realize that you do not have the power to change her mind? What will you do if she breaks up with you? Have you considered that maybe she is just staying with you for now because she feels guilty for cheating on you? Wouldn't you prove your love to her if you just let her go and be free to make the decision that she obviously wants to? Now, for the update. 2 days after the breakup, I was alone in the apartment. I looked at the empty space where her stuff used to be. It felt unreal, like everything was closing in on me, and every second reminded me she wasn't coming back. I took the dog for a long walk, hoping it would help clear my head, but it just reminded me of all our times together. Every park we went to, every tree we passed, even the people we used to walk by together. The dog probably thought I was losing it with how much I was sniffling and wiping my eyes. Once we got back, I started packing her stuff into boxes. I had no idea what to do with them yet, but I figured I couldn't just leave everything sitting around. I put on some music, trying to drown out the noise in my head. Yeah, that didn't work. The songs were all about love and heartbreak. Super helpful, right? I was just trying to distract myself from the reality of it all. My phone buzzed with a notification from social media. I saw a post from her. I almost didn't want to open it, but I did anyway. She had tagged some new guy in a photo at a local bar, smiling and looking carefree. Seeing her with someone else felt like a punch to the gut. I brushed it off, telling myself I didn't care. Yeah, right. It stung. It really did. So I decided to visit my parents for Sunday dinner, thinking some family time might help. My parents welcomed me with open arms, and it felt warm and comforting. They had no idea what happened. I didn't want to tell them, not like this. My sister Kate asked how I was doing, and I shrugged, avoiding the topic. During dinner, my dad started talking about his retirement plans, and it felt like a different world. I couldn't focus on the conversation. My head was spinning. My phone buzzed again with another notification. This time it was a group message from a mutual friend. The friend sent a picture of my ex at a party, this time with the new guy again. My brother Jake, who had been quiet the whole time, made a comment about how he was glad to see me out and about. I nodded, but then my mom brought up how long Olivia and I had been together. It made it hard to ignore the past. A few minutes later, Kate mentioned that she had seen Olivia's new social posts while scrolling online. I could feel the tension rising as I tried to downplay it, saying I hadn't seen them. After dinner, I excused myself to take the dog outside, needing a moment to breathe. While outside, I got a call from my landlord about the rent increase coming next month. Fantastic. Just what I needed. I went back inside, only to find my family discussing plans for a family trip without me. They suggested a weekend getaway, and I felt like an outsider in my own family. I cut in, saying I wouldn't be able to afford it. My dad quickly changed the subject, and I could tell he picked up on my tone. I went home that night, and the silence of the apartment just echoed around me. I decided it was time to take control. I was tired of just sitting around feeling sorry for myself. I figured I needed to look for resources to help with my job situation. I had been off work for a while now, after I messed up my back at my last job. I lost my job because of it, and my disability support wasn't coming through. I was stuck without work, and with rents going up, I felt trapped. The weight of my situation was crushing, especially since I had no family or friends to turn to for help. I was also left to take care of the dog alone, which only added to my stress. The next day, I found a local community center offering job training, which seemed promising. I signed up for a workshop on resume building and job interviews. I wanted to gain some confidence. A few days later, I went to the workshop and met others who were also looking for work. We all sat around and shared our stories, and it felt good to be in a room with people who got what I was going through. One participant shared how they had to cut ties with a toxic relationship, and it resonated with me. I realized I had to do what was best for me. I decided to take a break from social media to avoid seeing Olivia's posts. I needed to focus on myself and the new connections I made during the workshop. It was tough at first, but I knew it was necessary. I ended up having a conversation with a fellow participant about future job prospects. They mentioned a potential opening at a local company, which gave me hope. I decided to apply, feeling like it was a step in the right direction. After a few weeks of growing and learning, I got an unexpected call back for an interview. The day of the interview came, and I went in with a clear mind and purpose. As I walked away from the interview, it hit me that I was ready to embrace whatever came next without looking back. Edit. After a few weeks, I received a job offer, starting soon with a decent salary. The training was valuable, and I felt ready. I even got a new apartment with my dog, feeling free and secure. My family respected my space and didn't press about Olivia. I'm healing and moving forward. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.